From a very young age, you are handed a set of contradictory instructions. Society expects you to be strong or soft, driven or romantic. You are encouraged to carve out a successful path in the world, yet you are often pressured to remain small, quiet, and easily digestible. Many modern media portrayals reinforce this friction. We frequently see female characters who feel the need to shrink themselves, downplaying their intelligence, hiding their physical capability, or silencing their opinions, to be deemed worthy of love or social acceptance. As you transition into adulthood, this creates a specific kind of internal noise. It becomes clear that human complexity cannot be compressed into these restrictive, one-dimensional tropes. You have ambitions, appetites, and a range of emotions that refuse to fit into a tiny, predefined box. When these expectations collide with reality, most stories force a choice. But weightlifting offers a different perspective on what happens when a character is physically and emotionally incapable of fitting into those narrow boundaries. Enter Kim Bok-joo. She is a collegiate heavyweight weightlifter. She consumes massive amounts of food, she walks across campus with an unapologetic swagger, and her daily life is defined by the repetitive, grueling work of moving cold iron over her head. Her athletic identity requires her to be as large and physically formidable as possible. The story finds its tension when this woman, built for raw power, suddenly experiences the delicate, messy vulnerability of a first crush. Bok-joo's journey tracks the specific, often difficult process of navigating the transition into adulthood while carrying the literal and figurative weight of these expectations. We start at Hanel Sports University. This isn't a glossy, stylized version of college life. It is a grueling, sweat-drenched environment dictated by rigid weight classes, constant coaching, and the brutal expectations of competitive sports. Bok-joo's ambition comes with a tangible physical cost. Maintaining her heavyweight status requires an isolated lifestyle, endless hours in the gym, and hands covered in thick calluses and torn blisters. This physical capability is her primary source of pride. When she stands before the barbell, she has a clear sense of purpose. Her strength serves as her identity and her shield against the world. To excel, she has built a life of physical invulnerability. By focusing entirely on the iron, she has effectively walled herself off from the standard emotional vulnerabilities of her peers. That wall begins to crumble when she develops a crush on a local doctor. Because he runs a weight loss clinic, his professional world stands in direct opposition to her heavyweight reality. This triggers an immediate crisis. For the first time, Bok-joo views her own broad shoulders and chalky hands through a lens of shame. The strength that makes her an elite athlete suddenly feels like the very thing that makes her unlovable. She begins trying to perform a traditional version of femininity. She buys delicate hair accessories, suppresses her appetite when her crush is near, and even lies about her sport, telling him she is a cello player. She is attempting to shrink. These two worlds cannot coexist. The demands of elite athletic ambition and the rules of performative femininity push against each other with increasing violence. Trying to inhabit both spaces simultaneously tears her psyche apart. The consequences are severe. By trying to morph into someone else, Bok-joo loses her foundation. She can no longer lift effectively, she begins to struggle with depression, and she loses the sense of pride that once defined her. Then there is Jung Joon-hyung. In a typical drama, the male lead might arrive to save the struggling woman. Joon-hyung does the opposite. He does not fix her depression or rescue her from her choices. He actively rejects the version of Bok-joo that tries to be small and fake. He is drawn to her authenticity, the loud, sweaty, fiercely loyal athlete who can out-eat him and outlift most of the men on campus. Their relationship functions as a partnership of equals. They build momentum together, matching each other's pace on a track, where neither person is required to slow down or minimize their drive to accommodate the other. This connection is reciprocal. Joon-hyung struggles with a trauma that causes him to false start during swim meets. Bok-joo uses her own emotional resilience to help him face that fear, just as he supports her in returning to the weightlifting platform. They achieve growth through friction and mutual empowerment. By refusing to let each other hide, they create a model for a relationship built on supporting one's actual self, rather than a polished image. At the narrative climax, Bok-joo returns to competition. She faces the barbell without sacrificing her appetite, her personality, or her relationship. This alignment shows how the competing pressures resolve. Ambition, identity, and connection shift from conflicting forces into a unified source of power. By not fighting her nature, she wins gold and maintains genuine connection. Her success results directly from accepting her unconventional self. Bok-joo's victory on the national stage is fueled as much by this internal acceptance as it is by her years of physical training. She proves that existing authentically is a prerequisite for sustained excellence. The legacy of this story lies in how it depicts a young woman taking up space. It shows a protagonist who is allowed to be hungry, aggressive, and physically large, while still being worthy of love and success. This serves as a reminder that your own multifaceted nature is an asset. The parts of you that don't fit into a standard box are often the parts that contain your greatest potential. You don't have to shrink your dreams, your personality, or your body to find a meaningful connection or to achieve your goals. If you enjoyed this analysis, please subscribe. We will continue to explore the stories that challenge how we think about identity and growth.